And speaking of coming down to that, we've got game 1 of our first top 16 match.
This match will be featuring Maximilian versus Paulo. Now, in terms of their team record, 8 wins, 2 losses, 0 draws, and the other team, which is Paulo's team, the Disciples, we have 8 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw.
Both players managed to squeak by, but it does mean technically Paulo's team has the numerical advantage there, right? They would have had a little bit more points than Maximilian's there, but great sportsmanship being shown. Let's go ahead and draw up. It is time to duel.
Yeah, those points no longer matter at this stage in the game.
That was how you got here, but how you move forward is up to you.
So 45-minute counter.
Main phase?
Main phase.
All right. Looks like we're going to start with Bonfire.
Ooh, not the best start, because that's a very dangerous. You could run into a drone lockbird. It could just end your turn. And this is a very big part of it. It could telegraph a lot about your hand.
Certainly does. Obviously, you would maybe go straight into the Snake Eye Ash without risking this because you would want to see the Snake Eye Poplar, but showing that you need to use the Bonfire to get Snake Eye Ash, maybe you don't have anything else, and it even looks like we're going to summon the very same Ash without actually shuffling it into the hand.
Well, lucky for Paulo there, I guess. And remember, this is the format I would like to call Interaction Awareness Month.
Oh, I like that, Interaction Awareness Month. Is that because you really can't just like use the cards that activate from the hand just willy-nilly? You really need to concentrate?
No. You have to focus on every interaction point that you can think, and there's just so many things. It's like going through a fog of war. You have to kind of feel your way through it, and hopefully you're not going to run into the big things that stop you. So we go into the Ash into the Poplar. Poplar has now added the field spell, and we're going to continue, and we're going to put a Snake Eye monster into the spell and trap zone.
I've seen mostly Flamberge be the target here, but perhaps we got a different combo in mind.
It's possibly Oaking provide follow-up, and it's going to be Ash instead.
Ash to Ash, just to get the follow-up right for next turn.
There's a possibility that we're going to see both of those in the back row be sent away because Poplar has not been put into the graveyard. That's going to re-send or put back another fire monster into the spell and trap zone, probably used to pay another cost.
Well, there's the Flamberge Dragon.
All good, right?
All good.
Paulo just taking a moment to consider his moves. Maximilian doesn't have any responses so far. Perhaps he's holding on to a Nibiru.
So when someone doesn't do anything, I think they just are holding back. They have to hold back because key timing is very important. You don't want to use your interactions too soon, and it requires some level of patience to just not go trigger happy on those cards.
Oh, absolutely. We saw incredible patience last weekend, you know, holding on to an infinite permanence for as long as Jesse Cotton did. Really set a great example for this entire format. You can't just activate a card just because its conditions have been met. You need to wait to stop a card that actually is going to do something against you. And it's still possible that maybe there's a Nibiru right now, but
the Flamberge has been used, and we're going to continue moving on. We have the IP Masquerade being Link Summon and the Flamberge summoning back to 2. And we go to the Link Rebo, continuing on with the Link summoning. And that's going to be Promethean Princess.
The Star of Flames is definitely the monster of the hour. I've been saying it all day, but it's true. It's just an incredible fire card here. And looks like we're thinking for just a moment about what we're going to do next.
Is this the point of interaction? We're going to special summon back our Flamberge. And that's going to put the IP Masquerade into the spell and trap zone, ready for next turn to be resummoned out.
Certainly a powerful option, letting you reuse the IP Masquerade. Again, special summoning it from the spell and trap zone because Flamberge is just that good. And speaking of that good, it's time for Wanted, Seeker of Sinful Spoils. Let's put up that poster and grab the Diabell Star from the deck.
Very interesting timing. I think that was pretty smart. Just in case he did run into a drone lockbird, he could chain this card to add the card into hand just in the nick of time.
Luckily, it seems like nothing's going against Paulo here, so if you're cheering for him, this is nothing but sunshine coming his way. But looks like we're going to go ahead and link off, send Bestower of Flames and the Snake Eye Ash to the graveyard.
It has to be a Fire Link monster, probably an Amblo Whale.
That has been the Amphibious Swarm Ship.
Or we're going down. So there's always going to be that 2-direction, and we're going to attempt to retrieve a couple of cards here. Are we going to retrieve this turn, or is it going to be the next turn?
Well, I mean, either way, you're definitely going to get that effect, whether Flamberge is bringing out the IP Masquerade into the same zone, or if you decide you're going to get another level 1 on the field and maybe tribute off for Link Karibo.
It was going to be a Diabell Star. Diabell Star effect, and that's going to put another Wanted.
Now that's interesting. Does that telegraph that the original Sinful Spoils might be in the hand then?
Do we choose to play it now? That's the question. We are going to play it now. We're going to send it away.
Yep.
Now this has got to be where you put the fire monster behind Sunlight Wolf in order to get its powerful effect to add something. Absolutely doing so with Snake Eye Birch.
Okay, so
Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2. There's 2 Chain Links here.
1, 2, 3.
And the 3. You do the chain link 3 of the Link Karibo, you gotta do it.
Special.
Make sure that that monster is safe, sort of block out any enemy interference.
No. Okay, so
Interesting
right
question, by the
here.
way. It doesn't target. I wonder if that spoke about Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion, although I feel like I would have seen that by now from Maximilian if he was going to discard it.
And now we're going to activate the wanted Secret Sinful Spell to put back a spell card to draw an additional card. This is just so much draw power.
It really
So much
is.
search power, draw power, everything does something out of the deck. It feels like all these spell cards, all they are monster replacements.
They kind of are. I mean, it does give you a proxy for an additional monster card there. And speaking of additional monster cards, we're going to get Decode Talker Heat Soul to pay 1,000 life points and draw an additional card.
All right. There's going to be another card likely on the draw phase of Maximilian as well. It's such a good card. It's a Pot of Greed monster, but we're going to put that away into the graveyard. I think now might be the point where the Amble Whale would come out. Instead, they're going to go for the Appaloosa. Seems like the play have shifted now.
Just a little bit. That's going to be a 2-material Appaloosa. Not necessarily the strongest it could be, but gives you 2 ample anti-monster negation effects. And you're still going to be able to see the IP Masquerena brought up by the Flamberge Dragon, which means once that Appaloosa is done using its effects, it can be used as a link material to kind of keep the game going.
I mean, I think all of these players that made it to the top, they are respecting against Super Poly. You don't want to play into the Super Poly. It's very dangerous if you leave 2 fire monsters on the field. But here we have Maximilian playing with the Fire King Snake Eye.
Fire King's certainly going to have a different combos of play to get in the game.
Looking at the current field, we have the field spell, we have also the Flamberge, and there's also the 2 negates that can come from the 1600 attack Appaloosa. There's a lot on the field, but not to mention there's also stuff in the graveyard. Don't forget the Promethean Princess is also in the graveyard, and we're going to start off with Bonfire as well. Does Paulo have the out to counter this, or are they going to wait?
Okay. Well, it can't be the Appaloosa, Boa the Goddess. She is great, but she does not stop spell and trap effects. So you're right, those bonfires being used to get monster cards, and that's not something she can stop. Paulo wringing his hands, trying to figure out what he wants to do, but looks like we're going to go ahead and just let that resolve and add a new card.
You know, Paulo, I think all of the players at the top cut, they do not express emotion in-game. They just like to keep their cool.
Certainly do have to. Again, your teammates are there to keep you up, but your opponent can see if you need support. So if everybody's trying to cheer you on, it just tells your opponent, hey, he might be a little nervous.
This is still like a really good position for Paulo. I mean, there was no real disruption. You have to play into it, and you need a significant amount of engine to push through any of the fireboards.
Absolutely. The bonfire is a great start, but we need to see something next. Again, it's going to be 2 monster negates. Oh, interesting.
And that's going to hit by a crossout. I love crossout.
Oh, it's so good. Crossout Designator is certainly a controversial card, but with so much of the format running these powerful staple cards, just like Nibiru the Primal Being or Triple Tactics Talent, stuff that you expect to see in a lot of different duels, you can go ahead and employ that yourself and banish it to negate it. And speaking about employing things, Gabriel is doing a great job representing his team, getting that first victory in the 2 out of 3 set that he's playing against Jeff Jones.
A very, very tough position. And now we're going to be activating a very mirror-esque play on Maximilian's side.
Well, they certainly both know it's good. They wouldn't have gotten here otherwise. But we are going to go ahead and get into the deck there again. If you're noticing a certain commonality here, Dia Bellstar is going to be coming to the field just like she did for the opposite side on Paulo's board. But what are we going to be shedding here in order to get rid of Dia Bellstar? Obviously, with no cards in the field, you'd have to send something from the hand.
But it's still dangerous. Now we're going to send a Poplar. This is a wonderful play because you can go Chain Link 1 and do a Chain Link 2 to block away the Appaloosa from negating the Dia Bellstar.
Free hand, right?
So essentially you're just losing the ability to pay cost with that Poplar, if anything. If you negate it, but it's still worth it because there's a lot of things that do require face-up cards. Card management is key.
It really is. Now, speaking of Interaction Awareness Month, Paulo considering what he's going to do, counting that Maximilian has 3 cards in hand. So it looks like the Chain Link 3 is going to be the Divine Temple of the Snake Eye, advancing the IP Masquerena. And then we're going to go ahead and discard Ghost Mortar and Moonlit Chill.
Oh, so right now only the Diviner has been used, and the crazy part is that Flamberge Dragon can take your opponent's Spell and Trap monster and summon it back to their own field and just take it away.
Certainly would be wild to go ahead and grab that. It used to be our turn, now it's our monsters.
I think this is really, really well played by Paulo. Paulo being able to stop the Diabell start, not being able to retrieve another card, setting it onto field, blocking access to the original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye. That puts Maximilian really, really behind. And you can't even get the additional draw with the Wanted because you don't have another Sinful Spoil Spell Trap card in the graveyard.
Fortunately, it did not get there because Ghost, Mourner, and Moonlit Chill was able to stop the Diabell Star. A nice way to creatively get around that without the chain block being any relevance.
We're going to activate the IP Masquerena, performing the Link Summon during the opponent's turn, this main phase. And luckily, we're looking at SP Little Knight, of course.
Does let us get that banish.
The banish, the additional interaction, really just clearing out whatever Maximilian has.
It's going to be above the graveyard, so right here. Sideways.
Locating the banishment correctly there.
But this is graveyard.
And since Flamberge left the field, Slamberge, right? He does feel like Slamberge since he's dropping down the tables there. But we are going to see two level 1 monsters be special summons. It's going to be Poplar and Ash.
That's so many faults. That's the most dangerous part. You extinguish the big flame, and then two little embers come out onto the field. And that's going to be the Ash and the Poplar.
Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill is such a cool card. Again, all these different, great zombie tuners of a certain, 0 attack, 1800 defense have revolutionized the game. But the fact that this one also does effect damage is incredible. It's a very good card to be using right now.
And the monster did get removed from the field, so that's going to be about 2,500 damage. That's a lot.
That really is, and it shows you that there's just so many different types of cards you can use. You don't have to just rely on your favorites. You can explore some new stuff too and get some great results.
I would.
How many cards left in Maximilian's hands at the moment? I don't think there's that many.
Oh, I don't think
All
so.
the cards were unable to retrieve additional cards. Now we have Fire King Island.
Are we going to destroy a card to search a Fire King monster? I mean, desperation does happen sometimes.
That's the only option left if we're pushing it. Oh, it seems like Michel has won at table C. One point up at the moment.
So it means the pressure's on. Paulo, his disciples are doing very well. Paulo's still yet to close out one of these duels, but again, Gabriel and Michelle both closing out one each. Now again, that's still 2 out of 3, so the blue team still has a chance there on both of those sets. But if it's anything like this table, their days may be numbered.
I mean, if Paulo takes this one, the entire team will be 1 game up. That's a significant advantage.
Certainly is. It means that either of Paulo's disciples would just need to close one more out, and that would be it.
So now we're going to get the destruction of the Kirin. I believe that's from the Fire King Island.
So, who's 2, sorry? This is 2. Okay.
Taking a second just to make sure that the Kirin is chain link too.
Okay, so I will Appaloosa. And I guess that's it. Yes, that's it.
I think that's all the interactions so far. And we're going to see the special summon of the Sacred Fire King Garunix. Sacred Fire King Garunix effect.
Certainly a powerful set of cards, right? Destroy and then summon, summon and then destroy.
I wonder if that SP Little Knight is going to take action here and just remove the monster, just in case there is perhaps a rank 8 Xyz monster in there that could potentially just wipe the entire field.
I don't think we've seen any Xyz summons from Fire Kings the whole weekend, but it looks like we won't. SP Little Knight's going to go ahead and banish it. That's all Maximilian needed to say.
It is very dangerous. That crossout being probably the key factor that secured the game. Getting hit by a triple tactics talent against the opponent, you know that you're more or less in the Snake Eye mirror-esque match. We have Fire King Snake Eye, regular Snake Eye. You share a lot of cards that can start up the opponent, and with just such dangerous cards like Hita the Fire Charmer, Ablaze, being able to take your cards, or even Dark the Dark Charmer, Gloomy, taking perhaps your Black Witch, that just sets everything up for you, and you have to keep them at. Those are additional things that you have to shut out, just in case, even if you use, say, a Nibiru, these are still the dangers that still loom.
No, we've seen that really the only safe attributes in the graveyard right now, it seems like, are Earth, Wind, and Light, but at the same time, we even saw Lena the Light Charmer this tournament too because of the voiceless voice strategy, taking advantage of those effect failures. So your graveyard has never been more in peril. It seems like maybe Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion might be a little bit more of a premium card than people are putting a rating on it.
Yeah, I think Ghost Bell is a wonderful card, being able to turn off just so many different things. You can stop the voiceless voice matchup from the low coming back if you can secure the correct chain link, but I think mainly you can use this to stop the major plays of Flambeau Dragon, Summoning 2. Summoning 2 is just like so significant.
It's
too many
insane.
monsters.
It's a great card that gets even better with the embers on the field, as you said. Once that flame is extinguished, well, it's not over. But yes, Crossout Designator really being the deciding card. Even Maximilian took a moment to just say, oh man, that Crossout Designator.
Yeah.
Anybody who doesn't think that's a good card, just try it. Just see how it feels, and you will understand its power quite quickly.
Yeah, especially in a format where so many cards overlap. We're talking about not just about disruptions from a hand being negated here. Oh, we play the same ones. We're talking about main deck cards getting hit.
Oh yeah, Triple Tactics Talent, a very popular choice throughout the weekend. We've seen how just game deciding it can be, but it didn't decide any games because Crossout Designator just said, we don't do that here.
Yeah, we've seen the Crossout also being used for the Flambeau Dragon when it attempts to summon out 2. And this is mainly for the pure Snake Eye variant, which plays multiple Flambeau Dragon. And being able to banish one without suffering the consequence of not having another copy, you know, that's one of the advantages that they have. So it's always that debate, like, how do I play additional Snake Eye and just get rid of the Fire King so I can have options like these? Because these are not options available at the moment unless you want to really amp up the number of cards in your deck and play pretty muddy.
Oh, absolutely. And it's one of those things, too. Notice how quickly they are ready to jump into their next game. They barely spend any time side decking there. At this point in the tournament, you've seen it all. You know what's going on. In fact, you might have even played some of these players, although with a loss record on either side of only about 2 or 1 here and there, they may not have run into each other exactly, right? These are the tournament results that have been the best. But speaking of tournament results, we're going into Game 2 of our top 16 featured match between these two teams.
Now, for the entire team score, so what we know so far, Paulo's team has 1 game each.
Well, Paulo's disciples are definitely proving their point. They have been trained quite well.
Very, very strong player.
Dealing with any problems, so I always try to.
And they are about to begin. I believe Maximilian has no reason not to go first.
I would imagine you want to get set up before any of that Snake Eye shenanigans happens. That's probably one of the safest positions against a Snake Eye deck, is to just get there before they do.
And we're going to normal summon out Snake Eyes Poplar. I wonder why this one has Snake Eyes rather than just Snake Eye.
Well, I mean, it does just have the one eye.
Yeah, that's a slight name difference. And names are really key here. You got to be very careful, especially when it comes to Fire King monsters.
Oh, absolutely. We have heard, like I heard from Joe talking earlier, those horror stories of people running Fire King Avatar Garudix.
Yeah, that's not the
That's not the
Avatar.
one they want.
That is the baby chicken.
No, you need heaven on high, not just the regular stuff. But
You need the sacred one, really.
speaking of sacred, we're going to go ahead and activate the original Sitful Spoil Snake Eye. But even after the Poplar hits the graveyard, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring joins it.
And Crossout Designator counterplaying that. Ash Blossom, you know, you can hit me once, but I'm going to hit back with the same card.
Look at the smile on Paulo's face. He understands. He Crossout Designated somebody. He knows how good the card is. You can never count your opponent out. They are just as good as you did. They did just as much homework, and they know Crossout Designator works too.
Here's an interesting thing right now on Paulo's side. He activated 2 cards, both of which failed to resolve. That is significant. With 3 cards left in the hand, Maximilian just needs to build his field.
He absolutely does.
Hold on, that is a regular Kieran.
It is. It's the one you don't want to see, and that's so funny. I mean, Fire King Avatar Kieran, a great card, sending the extra fire monster to the graveyard, but again, just be very careful when you fill out your deck list. We don't want to have any errors on that.
But if you do put this card into your deck, just be very careful. Oh no, this is the Branded Chimera Classic. Both the Crossout Designator and then also get hit by Triple Tactics.
You tried to do it to me, and I'm doing it back. So, we're going to go ahead and use the Forceful Sentry style effect that is looking at your opponent's hand and returning 1 card from the hand back to the deck.
Now looking at what Paulo has a Bonfire, an Ash, and the Flambeau Dragon. The Flambeau Dragon likely staying in hand because it's really hard to get rid of if you don't have the proper setup. But looking at the Bonfire and the Snake Eye Ash, Paulo has options. But you can get rid of one of them, and that's going to be the Snake Eyes Ash.
Certainly helps set things back, means you have to use the Bonfire to get the Ash, and there's a possible interruption that you could use there, whether you have another copy of Ash Blossom in your hand or not.
But that knowledge is crucial. If Maximilian can't maintain 1 disruption from hand or just something on the field that can turn off whatever that Bonfire is going to bring out, the game is going to be secured. There's no options left.
Certainly so, and you know you're safe from Nibiru. Now, speaking of being safe, of course, we have Maximilian and Paulo are fighting it out, with Paulo having 1 point. But again, Jeffrey and Gabriel are now tied 1 duel apiece, and Vladis is still hanging in there against Michelle's first victory in their 2 out of 3 set.
So we're going to continue with the Fire King lineup. We have the Sanctuary, we have the Island, we have the legendary Fire King Ponix, we have the Sacred Garunix. This is just an all Fire King action here. Arvada has been not destroyed, it's in the graveyard as well.
Arvada is such a game-defining card, right? We saw last week how Arvada really caused people to enter the battle phase really early, but looks like we're not in the battle phase just yet. We're going to go ahead and link summon here.
We got to go to the Hita. Hita is going to take the Ash. That's why Ash is a liability sometimes. What do you mean I'm a fire monster?
I know. Ash Blossom and Joy Spring being fire just recommends those other attributes. Why don't you try out Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion?
And welcome back, Fire King Avatar Arvada. That's going to be able to negate whatever that the Bonfire is going to add into hand.
And now there's the Amblo Whale as well.
That's a lot of follow-up for 2 cards remaining. That's going to be very difficult, especially when you know the Flamberge in hand. That Flamberge is not going to be able to do anything.
Now, the Bonfire may not be able to stop by the Fire King Avatar Arvada, but again, it can destroy a fire monster in order to negate an activated monster effect.
Paulo activating that Bonfire. That proves that, hey, maybe that other card he just got into hand might not be so great. We need to search out the option here. That's going to be the Arvada. Arvada searching into Ash.
So with the Snake Eye Ash, though, the problem is if you summon...
He did get there.
So we happen to just draw the infinite impermanence, made it a lot easier. No longer have to worry about Arvada, which is, again, changed the way people play. And so here's Snake Eye Ash, uninterrupted.
That's a normal summon, so the Promethean Princess will not be activating at this particular point, but there's still a lot of disruption. Let's not count Maximilian out just yet. Sure, the first wall is down, but we're going to add a Poplar. Poplar is going to activate the summon itself. That's a special summon. Are we going to see the follow-up from the Promethean Princess, destroy cards, and just really set things up here?
Again, the Fire King Arvada is just so incredible. It was a card that was extremely powerful in Duel Links. This is the first time it got onto my radar, but still is showing how much longevity a lot of these cards have. That's what makes the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game so great. A card may be great now, but even better later.
Okay, so we're going to special summon back the Promethean Princess. We're going to destroy the Snake Eye Ash with the effect. Poplar is still resolving. I believe got the original Sinful Spoil.
And Bestower of Flames, that Promethean Princess, so important because, again, the first special summon you see, you're going to see a destroyed fire monster and a card on your opponent's side of the field. And then, hello, she's back.
And here's why the Fire King line is so strong. So many monsters coming out. The Arvada was destroyed, so that summons back the Kirin. The Garunix activated. We're going to destroy the Kirin. We're putting everything back onto the field. And remember, that Arvada has not used the effect yet. It will come back online.
It absolutely will. So when it's special summon, it actually still can attempt to negate and destroy cards.
Yeah, and Paulo realizes that there's no other option but to concede this one. Save some time. We're going to move on to Game 3 with Maximilian taking Game number 2.
That shows you how strong the Fire Kings are because they are basically what carried the duel. There wasn't really a lot of Snake Eyes on Maximilian's side.
Right.
He could have just been playing a pure set of Fire King structure decks and probably had the same result, and it's so cool to see how well those cards work.
But it's just so dangerous to get hit by all of those cards. I call it the Branded Chimera special because Branded Chimera is known to rip apart people's hands, look at their hand, get rid of cards, and using the Crossout Designator and the triple tactics, but when you resolve both of those cards, you more or less have knowledge of what's going to come up, what you need to take out, what you need to prepare, and that's just such a very difficult position to come out, even with the Infinite Impermanence. Oh, that's a great card to top deck to negate one of the negates.
Definitely
but that's not enough. That's not enough.
Definitely a heart of the cards moment for Paulo to have gotten that infinite impermanence off the top of the deck, but you're absolutely right about Cross-Site Designator. It's also great for thinning your deck down too, and has some great synergy in certain strategies, like you said, Branded Chimera, being able to banish those cards that you can get easy access back to.
So the card that more or less defeated Paulo, unfortunately, was the Ash Blossom. It functioned as an enabler for the triple tactics. It functioned as an additional monster for the Hita to summon back. Everything stemmed from that one wrong fire monster being at the wrong place at the wrong time.
You know, with words like that, it makes you almost envision a future where fire duelists don't play Ash Blossom and Joy of Spring. It's almost more of a liability than it helps.
A lot of players from what I've talked to, from who I talked to, a lot of them take it out during Game 2 and 3. It's too much of a liability. They rather play different types of disruption, rather go into the Ghost Mourner. Being able to use Effect Veiler-esque effects such as the negations that are just on the monster, that stays on the monster, is crucial and it's better, and you don't provide your opponent with additional cards to play with in your graveyard.
No, it's incredible. You would almost think that those people who are running Soul Release, which has also been a popular strategy, you might almost Soul Release off your own Ash Blossom just to be safe, right? I want to take
I
out
would do
your
it. I 100%
cards.
would do it.
Just right, you know what? I didn't play this card. I'm just going to banish it and hide it under the carpet. Nobody saw that. There's no fire.
Yeah, there is no such card. What are you talking about? And I think the soul release is such an interesting point because people put in anti-spell fragments to counter the soul release, to counter the triple tag. But again, we've moved forward into, oh, we're going to play summon limit instead. Oh, I guess I'll put soul release back into the deck then. It's so good.
It is wild how all these duelists are chasing each other with all these great ideas, and any one of those cards are so powerful on their own. But complementing a deck like this, you know, it was one thing when we saw Voiceless Voice using Summon Limit, right? It's able to just get the 2 bodies on the board and then protect itself, but it also kind of tripped over its own feet. You don't necessarily see that as much when those cards are being used by the Fire King strategy because they can pivot on both turns.
Now, it looks like one of the tables there are done.
Yeah, they're just staring it down. You're absolutely right.
So that is going to be Michelle's table. I think we're going to have a score update shortly. But right now, let's focus on to game number 3 at table A.
Look, man.
Oh, good sportsmanship. They know that things are kind of getting down to it because, again, with one duel ending, that does mean that if this is decided the wrong way, that could be the end of their tournament journey.
But still, it's no easy feat making it to the top 16 tables.
No, you absolutely should be proud of yourself for making it this far. Now, certain duelists won't take that on the chin. They're going to want to go all the way. But again, making it to the top 16 out of 571 teams is incredible. And speaking of teams, looks like you were absolutely right. Michelle did take 2-0 against Vladis. So now it's just to a set of 1-1 matchups. And we could have a walk-off home run victory if Jeffrey or Gabriel finishes their duel.
Now, Michelle, I believe, was playing Voiceless Voice. So that was quite the surprise here.
You're right, you're right. We did get to see some of the Voiceless Voice activity earlier on the broadcast, but right now it is all fire and fire surfaces as we get Poplar, Ash on the field, and then activate that Divine Temple of Snake Eye.
That field spell is so good. Even if you lose your copy of Flambeau Dragon and you still have a monster in the spell and trap zone, you can still push it to the front row, and that's important.
Fact.
Yep.
Thinking about it, we're going to go ahead and just send Snake Eye Ash and
The oak into the graveyard. Poplar still can be used as cost later on, so that's okay. Likely going to go into the Flambeau's Dragon at this particular point, and there it is. Snake Eyes, Flambeau's Dragon.
Flambeau's Dragon, kind of an underestimated card once it first came out, but I'm so glad that Duelists have found out the power of this awesome monster. Now we're going to go ahead and possibly link summon into an IP Mask Arena, and then probably see Poplar and then Flambeau.
Yep.
I'm surprised that people did not pick up, like, this card is going to be amazing right from the get-go. What? This card can push monsters away, summon their monster, and give me 2 monsters, and can be summoned for free? Sign me up.
It also just has great numbers, too. We've seen where that 3,000 attack has really come into play, just edging out the battle damage against your opponent, whether the clock is running out or not.
So we have pushed the Snake Eye Oak back into the Spell and Trap Zone. We have not really used the effect there, so that's the wonderful part. Even if we do get hit by Nibiru, we do get the follow-up. We can push through, we can generate 3 monsters, and Promethean Princess will still occur. And with the IP Mask Arena here, likely it's going to be put back into the Spell and Trap Zone later on after we link this one off. And we have the rock. Everyone's just throwing rocks at each other this weekend.
Snake Eyes Flambeau's Dragon may be strong, but it's not strong enough to stop the coming of Nibiru the Primal Being. So this monster will be tributed to the graveyard. We'll go ahead and get a token out here.
Token has been special summoned into column number 2 in defense position. However, that is a special summon on your opponent's side, and that's going to allow the Divine Temple of the Snake Eye to special summon back the Snake Eyes Oak. And the Oak has not used the effect, so we're going to get back a level 1 fire monster from the graveyard this time. Never mind. Counterplayed by the Ghost Bell. As you mentioned, the Ghost Bell is really, really good.
It's been so strong, and it's not a liability because its attribute is not fire, it's not dark. You don't even have to worry about those light of the light charmers.
Now Paulo has to stop and think for a second here. This is why Nibiru is strong. Nibiru alone, this could have been an easy out for Paulo. However, combined with the Ghost Bell now we're short a couple of monsters.
It does remind you that no single card has been stopping the pace of these duels, but 2 put in combination together really has. The Ghost Bell's been great, but it seems like there's no interaction here. This Bonfire is going to go ahead and resolve, grabbing another Snake Eye Birch.
Birch is going to be the follow-up here. Perfect time. This is why the pure Snake Eye is so strong, because you can just keep on summoning more. Now you have enough monsters once again. Now you play through both of them now.
Birch's effect is going to activate there, and take a look at the extra deck just for a moment to see.
I think we're just calculating how we're just going to end up bringing back some of the Flamberge Dragon in the graveyard. And not just that, we're going to go into Phoenix.
Yeah.
How interesting, just to go ahead and get rid of it, okay.
We need to get rid of that token because that token is not an effect monster. For Promethean Princess, you need effect monsters, so you gotta kind of cycle your way through to the correct recipe here. We're gonna bring back the Oak.
Effect.
And you're using Oak's effect, we're gonna summon back another monster. I believe there could be a second copy of Flamberge onto the field. Most of the cards have already activated, so I don't see the value of just reducing your monsters, so second Flamberge is coming down onto the field.
Flamberge definitely good help right now, pushing Nibiru into the back row, but also giving a fire monster to be on the field to destroy, since you have the Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames in the graveyard. That's what makes it so lethal, but it doesn't look like we're going to push back the Nibiru. 3,000 is nothing to worry about, right? The rock has already come down, so we're going to go ahead and put the IP Masquerade up for a follow-up play by placing it in the Spell and Trap Zone.
Paulo in a little bit of a tight position. He needs maybe some of the side deck cards to maybe buy the turn back or proceed to set 1, maybe even set 2. Or we're going to activate deck lockdown.
Oh, they both smiled. It's like they could hear us react to that, but it's incredible to see deck lockdown. I don't think I've seen that in quite some time.
So we're not going to be able to add cards from the deck to them, nor special summon cards from the deck to the field. That is deck lockdown. That is the Paulo special, I would like to call it. And then,
even if he was able to Cosmic Cyclone, nothing was going to happen. It looks like Maximilian maybe conceding the duel with a handshake.
Pop summon, and you have to play into
oh
this.
no, that actually secures it.
I have to draw you.
The cards have been revealed. Paulo takes game number 3.
That's so incredible. Deck lockdown. But that does kind of put on the radar for future opponents that deck lockdown could be something that he slots into.
Well, a lot of people are on Cosmic Cyclone. Unfortunately, that was not enough for Maxima. He did have the Cosmic Cyclone. It was not the out for this particular case. Congratulations to our match winner.